Hi there, it's Johnny Miller from Point Blank Music School, back once more to show you some cool tricks with Ableton Live 8 and sounds and samples from clickproduce.com. Tonight I'm going to show you a couple of extra little tricks for dubstep production using the classic wobble technique, but taking it a couple of steps further and doing some really interesting things with the auto filter device inside Ableton Live. And for this I've got a really cool pack of sounds from P5 Audio called Dubstep LA or Dubstep Los Angeles, and this is put together by a guy called DJ Devil in LA, and really nice folders of classic bass lines, loops with no drums. They're very useful, so you can add your own beats, melodic loops and various drum loops, but this is where it really comes in. We've got this really nice folder here of dubstep drums, kicks, hats and snares, all nicely processed, sounding really punchy and fat. And I've loaded some of these sounds into, I've loaded a snare into Simpler, and I've added a saturator device on here just to warm that up a little bit. And on track number 2, I've just got a simple kick drum loop. And on audio track number 1, I've just got a simple bass loop. So let me play you what I have. So quite a heavy beat, and at the moment the bass just isn't doing an awful lot. It's just working between those two notes, and I'm going to apply the auto filter device to this track to create some wobble effects, but show you some of the things that little slightly more advanced tricks with auto filter to get slightly different sounds. Okay, so I'm going to load in auto filter onto the track, and standard stuff when you're setting up a wobble bass using auto filter. We turn the LFO up, switch it to beats mode, and then put the phase at 360. And then lastly, we just bring the filter frequency down. And there's your wobble. Now, because it's synced to the tempo of the track, we work in different divisions here. 1/4, so a quarter note. 1/6, 1/12. If I put the beat on as well, let's turn this up a bit. Now there, I just used the automation lane in Arrange View. Notice how normally I'd start in Session View. Not tonight. I'm starting in Arrange View, and I'm just working this loop straight into Arrange View. And there I use the automation lane to adjust the volume for that audio track number 1. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to set up some automation lanes for the functions that are on auto filter. So we've got these two menus here, the device chooser. This determines which device on that particular track we're going to look at. And then underneath that, this is the controller chooser. This determines which parameter on auto filter we're going to automate. So I'm going to leave it on synced rate. That's the rate device, the rate function I was just moving there. And I'm just going to move the little wheel on my mouse just so I can see the automation line. And I'm just going to hit the plus icon here, and this is going to drop the sync rate automation lane down underneath, and I'm just going to resize that so it's nice and big and you can see what's happening. And I'm going to set up now the wave shape parameter onto the automation lane. So again, auto filter from the device chooser, and waveform, it's labeled actually in the device chooser, in the controller chooser rather. And now if I move that, keep your eyes on the shape icon there. It just changes the wave shape, so we can get lots and lots of different types of wobble effect. That's the saw down, saw up, and we get a different character of wobble. That's the tri-wave, square wave, which is more of a kind of on-off effect. And lastly, the sine wave, the traditional dubstep wobble wave shape. So what I'm going to do here is just open this up. Let's just hide the device for a minute. And I'm going to open this right up. Let's close the browser down too and get it nice and big on the screen. Now I'm going to change the fixed grid. I'm going to right click and just change the fixed grid to 1/8. And switch to draw mode, which is Command B. And that's going to give me my pencil. And now I can draw in. You can see there, as I'm drawing that in, I'm getting the different wave shapes. I'm going to start off with a saw down. I'm going to take that all the way up to here, where I'm going to change the wave shape. And if I play the clip, you can hear there how the wave shape changes halfway through the measure. Now, to make it more interesting, I'm going to change the LFO rate. Let's get some slow movement in there too. Let's go to square wave. That's nice. Okay, so that's my standard kind of wave shape and LFO sync rate pattern set up. But now I'm going to actually drop that waveform automation lane down and select another parameter. And this time it's going to be filter type. And I'm going to switch between the different filters. And the traditional filter that most people use for wobbles is the low pass filter. So we get a kind of filtered up and filtered down effect. I'm going to switch it to the notch filter. And that actually sounds really, really nice. If I keep moving that line up, I'll get to the notch filter. And I'm going to bring the Q value right open. And you actually get a slightly different feel. It's a deeper, more kind of electronic wobble effect. Especially if I add saturator to this. Let's go for the a bit warmer patch. And that's just got a real flavour to it. Let's automate that filter type now. Let's go to band pass here. Again, I can just pull open the different lanes and get different shapes for the different regions. Just go down to low pass. So now I'm changing three things: the sync rate, the LFO waveform shape, and the filter type. So there we go. You can learn loads more cool stuff like this at pointblankonline.net. And I'll be back next week to show you some more cool stuff with Ableton Live 8 and sounds and samples and loops from clickproduce.com. Peace.